Hey, thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day to let me share something with you that I'm really passionate about. And that is one of the pillars to the client experience that I provide for your client. It's called the pre-purchase consultation. I know that a lot of lenders share what they do, but oftentimes you don't get to see the conversations and the education that happens behind the curtains. And I think it's really powerful for you to be able to see the type of information we share with your client and what that experience looks like. So I just wanted to pull the curtains back and let you see this for a few minutes and be able to kind of dive right in with us. I think what you'll see is I believe that a confident buyer is an educated buyer, and an educated buyer is a decisive buyer. And this process is meant to give them exactly that. So let me share my screen and I'll kind of walk through the content that I provide. Okay, so what is a pre-purchase consultation? Let me share with you. So first of all, we want to make sure that your buyer knows who they're working with. They need to know who their loan officer is. Of course, that's me. And they need to know who the pre-underwriter is. That's the person who's going to gather all their documentation and make sure everything meets the guidelines. And they need to make sure who is doing what and how everyone's interacting throughout the process. And here you can see this is my team, and this is what we share with them up front so that there are no surprises about who's calling or emailing. They know the team, they trust the team. And ultimately, what that means for you is that they're not calling you with 100 questions about who does what. So we start with that. And next, we focus on their goals, timeline, budget, and concerns. In this 45 minutes to 1 hour, the most important thing is that I'm listening to them first and then asking questions second and providing recommendations based on what I'm hearing. We walk through their scenarios in the Mortgage Coach software, which this is a screenshot of what that looks like. And what's really neat about the software is that it allows us to change the scenarios real time, and it has wonderful drill down capabilities where we can provide uh, details down to the most granular level if they need to. And it has graphs and charts and lots of different ways for us to educate the buyer on what the different tailored plans look like. And then again, just adjust in real time. It also has AI capabilities that they can play around with and interact with and ask questions if they want to. So a really powerful software that helps them understand side-by-side trade-offs, and so that they can understand the full picture of what their different loan options are. The next thing that I love to walk them through is just understanding interest rates and the interest rate traps. We know that interest rates can be really confusing, and what I like to do often is share with them this mortgage rate chart so that they can better understand what impacts interest rates. And this is a chart of the MBS, and MBS and interest rates are very closely tied. So I will spend time educating them on that briefly or extensively, depending on the client, just so that they can feel a little bit more empowered to understand why things are the way that they are. In addition, we know that there are a lot of interest rates advertised online, and that can be really confusing when you see different interest rates. And oftentimes, buyers can fall in the interest rate trap of thinking that there's only one interest rate. And we know that that's a myth, and that there are several options of interest rates, and interest rates all come with a cost and a trade-off. So we spend time sharing and acknowledging what that looks like. And then I'll pull up a rate board that will show the different rates, like you can see here, and the different costs associated with those rates, and show them what the trade-offs are of each of those rates so that they can really walk away understanding that rates are their decision and understanding the trade-offs of each of them so that we can put the buyers in control. Just wanted to share a quick example of what that could look like. This example has a rate board on the left, and then a few examples of a mortgage scenario. And you can see that there are three different interest rates and then costs of those different interest rates. And I will oftentimes pull up a chart that shows them, you can see these different charts of a break even and cost of rate, so they can understand, hey, if I go with the lowest rate, it's going to take me 62 months to break even for the cost of that lower interest rate. And maybe I'm not going to stay in my mortgage or my home for that long. So just keeping in mind that the right rate isn't always the lowest rate and helping educate them with that. Next, I like to help them feel comfortable with whether now is the right time to buy. So often I like to pull up historical charts because the data really helps tell the story. Here you can see a long-term home price appreciation chart or table. And what it demonstrates is that in over the last 40 plus years, there's only been one time that home price appreciation has actually declined in a 10-year time span. And really, that is just giving them a takeaway message that it is a safe bet to bet with the housing market, not against it, and helping them feel comfortable that now can be the right time to buy because likely your home value is going to go up. So the answer for most of them is yes, now is the right time. So we like to provide that data for that comfort and confidence. I'll also share a projection for the year of where home prices are headed, and then also show it over the next 5 years so they can see what buying now will look like versus what's predicted for the next year. In this example, a $500,000 home will cost them $12,000 more next year. So just sharing more data to help them with their confidence of whether now's the right time. Next, it's about budget clarity. So again, a decisive buyer is the type of buyer where we can remove the emotion and second guessing and just fill them with the knowledge to help them understand their situation. So in this example, we always want to make sure that we understand what the target price is and also the walkaway price. This is a crucial step that a lot of people skip, and I think it's so important so that the client knows what they can live with and what they're okay walking away with. It removes the emotion from the offer. So your buyer isn't scrambling at the last second and they know their boundaries, so they're not panicking and second guessing themselves. So you're working with someone who is clear and confident about their budget. The next thing is to make sure that they actually win the offer. So I like to walk them through the three pillars of how we make a competitive offer at Cornerstone. Number one, we provide outstanding loan assurance based on how our underwriting process works. We offer something that's called pre-underwritten so that all their documentation is reviewed and approved before they write the offer. That means there's no contingencies when they put that offer out to the seller, so they can rest assured the loan's going to be funded and it's already done when they put that offer out. Number three is speed. Our team can close in as little as 10 days, and so we are able to be very competitive with how quickly we need to close if we need to. That can have a heavy weight to the quality of the offer. Right now, especially, we're seeing a lot of sellers look for higher quality over price. Just recently, we had a client that went into a multiple offer situation, and they were actually $30,000 under the highest price offer, but they still won the offer war because they saw that they were pre-underwritten and that they could close quicker and with the assurance that it would close without contingencies. So just an example of how it's as close to a cash offer as you can get. Lastly, a service that we offer that is very powerful for next steps is our hardest work actually starts after close. That is when we ensure the stewardship of the debt management. First of all, we have a rate reduction program where we proactively are looking at the market and monitoring to manage their loan. And if rate drops, we proactively reach out to them for refinancing opportunities. They also get a monthly equity report so that they're aware of how their wealth is changing with their mortgage. We give them an annual review to help them understand if they're not happy in their mortgage, different options, or if they are, just making sure that there's nothing else that we can do. And always making sure that we are leveraging opportunities to make sure that they have the lowest cost of their debt. And then when and if they're ready to move on, of course, connecting them with you so that we can refer them back to you for the next opportunity. So here's what I want you to see. Hopefully, I was able to share with you and you understand that this pre-purchase consultation isn't just about educating buyers, it's about making your job easier. Your clients come to you with clarity instead of confusion. They have confidence instead of doubt, and they're positioned competitively instead of scrambling. They're ready to move decisively. And when they move decisively, you close deals. That's our partnership. I'm not just a lender, I'm an advisor who listens, who builds trust, and who helps your client achieve their goals. And when they do, you win too. I'm excited to work with you and your clients. Thank you for listening to me.